so what is vulnerability, and is it an end stage, or are there other steps that need to be taken to be vulnerable?
So every time I think of vulnerability, I think of one of my favorite authors. Her name is Brene Brown, and she's written quite a few books about vulnerability. And I just like her definition a lot, so I'm just going to read it off for people. But essentially, it says that vulnerability is showing up when you don't have control over the outcome. Vulnerability is saying the truth and having courage, and both of those things can be quite uncomfortable. But vulnerability can never be a weakness because you use that to be a more authentic version of yourself in front of the people who've earned the right to hear it. So I quite like that definition. If it's an end stage, I don't know. Personally, I used, when I first learned about vulnerability, I used to think that it's kind of like the end all be all answer to a lot of tricky situations is that you just be vulnerable and you say, okay, this is where I messed up, and that's where it kind of stops, which I've found to not be true. After you're vulnerable, you have to, make amends. If you've messed up somehow, you have to, commit to yourself to, like, Ilakkiya was talking about, not feel sorry for yourself once you've been vulnerable, to move past that point. And you also have to, commit to yourself to, be better than that if you need to, or just continue living in that truth if possible. So yeah, that's what I perceive vulnerability to be.
That's a very, very, very interesting answer, and I'm glad you brought up that book as well. It definitely gives some credibility to it. Ilakya?
Sia shared a really good definition of vulnerability. My experience of vulnerability is kind of just sharing emotions like as they are, right? Sharing your feelings and emotions um, with people without or putting aside the fear of judgment in a way. So that's the courageous part of vulnerability, right? You're kind of opening up yourself for other people to see what you're going through or what you're experiencing. And I would say it's definitely not an end stage. Like Sia said, I think of it as kind of like the tunnel, right? It's a way to get to a better solution, right? So you be vulnerable, and that enables yourself to help yourself, because sometimes being vulnerable to others makes you actually verbalize your feelings that you might not have been able to put together so far. So it helps you help yourself, it helps others help you, and come up with a better solution. So yeah, there are other steps after vulnerability of, you know, respecting what someone has shared, paying attention to what they've shared, and acting accordingly.
Uh, that's a pretty good answer too. I would actually have to say something like a bit different, which is being vulnerable to yourself. So sometimes you tend to minimize your feelings like for the moment, but then you have to be vulnerable enough to understand what they are, and then understand the emotions, why you feel them. And that is something the way you have to be vulnerable to yourself, even if there others are not there. You still have to be confident that you can handle those emotions and actually like let yourself feel those emotions. And that is not an easy thing to do, but that would definitely, I think, would help you, and you should definitely do it.
Thanks for watching. If you liked the video, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. If you'd like to see more videos on the topic, make sure to check out our playlist where we answer more questions. We'll see you next time.